My name is Greg Palmer. This is my wife, Lindley Palmer. I grew up in the church my entire life, 3 days a week. I always saw the plate being passed, and we always put something in the plate. So I understood generosity, but really didn't understand or have a process for that generosity. Lindley also had grown up in the church. I think that first week after we got married, we got her first paycheck. I was still in school, and she brought up the concept of a tithe. I was like, what's a tithe? And she kind of laid out the biblical principle of the tithe, and I gladly accepted it, and we started tithing as a married couple. I went from second grade through high school here, but then we've been gone 25 years until God made a way for us to come back home, be close to family, and in work here in Lafayette. This turns out to be Lindley and I's third consecutive building campaign. We have lived in 3 cities. We lived in Montgomery, Alabama. We lived in Orlando, Florida, and now we live here in Lafayette, Louisiana. And it just so happens, Montgomery, we spent over a year in a building campaign there and being stretched in our faith. Then moved to Orlando, and we're part of planting a church. We went through a building campaign there. And when we started to talk about Decades campaign and what God would call us to do as part of that campaign, we said, we've just been through this 2 other times, and are we going to do this a third time? That's a selfish thought. It's a reasonable thought, but it's focused on us. Ultimately, where we came to in our discussions was that if we wanted to continue to grow, we needed to continue to listen to God and to stretch ourselves and do everything God called us to do.
It was harder for me, I think, because you're pledging in advance of what you know you're going to receive from your paychecks. And for me, it took me a little more time and a lot of prayer, but knowing that God was faithful in the past and He will do it again this time too. There's no reason He will fail us now.
In today's world, we like to solve problems for ourselves, and we don't leave God a whole lot of room to step in and show Himself to us. And I think that's just part of our fleshly desires, is to solve problems for ourselves, to be the hero of our own story and jump into different situations. And I believe God has a place where He wants to stand in our story and does not want us to intercede. And I think when we give and when we step out in faith and give, especially to campaigns like Decades, where it's an opportunity for Him to step in and show Himself as our provider. He tells us, He says, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. He says, test me in this. And He offers us a promise with that. He says, see if I won't open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you can't hold it all. We've chosen to take God at His word on that and then wait expectantly by faith for Him to do exactly what He's said He's going to do. And He's done that for us every step of the way, and I couldn't be more thankful for that.